If I said to you, you've got 5 seconds to name the cheapest and also the most expensive drone manufacturers in FPV on the market today, chances are you've just said both companies that have combined into this one product. G'day, Stu from UAVfutures here, and today, well, what we're checking out, it's a bit of a mishmash from Eachine and DJI. I can't believe those two companies are working together on this. What this is, it's the Eachine DJI VisWhoop. It's a 2.5-inch little flyer designed to be taken out of the box, flown around, and the big one, it's also fairly cheap. I think it's about $230 when I made this recording, but we've got cheap components in here, and we've also got some of the most high-tech digital grade stuff. The DJI Vista in the middle right there coming in. I think that's with CADX. And overall, it's a little bit crazy to think those two companies are working together. So what we're going to do in this video, we're going to find out how well do super cheap and also extreme high performance go when you mash them together in one little drone. We'll break it down. We'll look at the text and the specs. We'll look at the quality, the pros, the cons, all that sort of stuff. And then the big one, we're going to get out of the field. We're going to fly this around and find out just how well does this go. Originally, I did want to fly this around inside with the curfew and everything, but it seems like this has way too much power. On a few little hovers, it's going to be punching through the roof. So it's got a lot more power than I anticipated anyway, especially for a little 2.5-inch with such a high-tech digital system on board. So as a bit of an overview, what it is, you take it out of the box, you bind it up, but this one doesn't bind straight to your DJI like the goggle part does, but it has a built-in XM Plus receiver, which kind of gives me the because I want to just bind it up straight to my DJI radio. I don't know why they send out these little units when they also should just hook them up to the standard DJI radios they come with, or at least give us that option. It's coming in, I don't know if you can see that, at 117 grams. It's designed for a 3 or a 4S LiPo. It's got some big prop guards you can see on there, which kind of makes it like the size of a 3-inch, even though it's got 2.5-inch little tri-blades right here. We talk about some of the components. We'll start at the outside, work our way in, because it's a very simple drone. Why? Because it's got the CADX Vista in the middle, which is literally just the DJI camera, the air unit, and the VTX all in one. It's this tiny little board, which we'll talk about a bit as well, and the rest is just 4 motors and some ESCs. So Stuart, I hear you asking, what are those ESCs and those motors? We have some, like I mentioned, little tri-blade props on the top, 2.5-inch, and then underneath, I think they're 1104s. 1204 motors, 5,000 kVs. I don't know how these things are going to go. They say new design on the website, but we're just going to have to wait and see just if there is anything too special. We've got a little 12 amp ESC in the middle. Interestingly enough, I believe this is only a Bill-Heli S ESC, which is a little bit behind the times, if you ask me. Would have been much nicer if you're already buying some high-tech stuff in here. Just throw in some Bill-Heli 32 ESCs in the middle. Standard sort of stuff when it comes to our F4 flight controller. And then on the top, this is where the star of the show comes in, and I'd say where most of the money is as well when you're buying this. We have our little CADX Vista, which is, yeah, like I mentioned, DJI, HD digital. It's got fantastic range. You can do up to 1200 milliwatts if you hack it with the correct firmware or update and all that sort of stuff. You also have this little Rush Tank VTX on the back, and I can't tell if this is left-hand polarized, I said that strangely, or right-hand polarized. So hopefully it is going to be left. Why? Because that's important, because the goggles on our radio are also left-hand polarized. So I've got to say, I really hope Eachine's done their homework and not just thrown some different pieces together here, because that could be detrimental to the flight experience. If I flip it over, talk about the design of the thing, you can see it's got big prop guards designed to keep things safe. However, usually that's reserved for flying around inside and bumping into things. This, I really think, is just going to have way too much power. So I would have probably preferred if they just completely took those off. I might even take these off and shorten down the little carbon struts in the end once I finish with the review, because it's a little 3-inch ripper that really, or a 2.5-inch ripper that really, I don't think it needs these little ducts on the outside. They're not really going to be serving any purpose, because there's no way, with the amount of power that this thing has, I'm going to be flying it around. If we talk about the quality of the thing, Eachine doesn't have the best quality track record. So that part, maybe like a 5, 5.5, 6 if you're lucky out of 10 first, even though they are very cheap. So I feel like their price to quality is fine, but it's definitely not going to be comparable to like some crazy TBS product products or anything like that, which are absolutely refined, but also a little bit more pricey. But on the flip side, you've got DJI here, which is arguably has some of the strongest quality control components in the business. So that it's just going to be interesting to get out, fly it around. The pros and the cons, things I like, things I don't like. Well, number one, I don't really like the ducks. I'm not a fan of it. I don't think it's designed for flying with them, and I feel like it's just kind of missing its mark. It's trying to jump on the whoop style scene, but this could be so much more. They could have designed this. I would have preferred just a really ultralight little racer that was made with this CAT-X Vista in the middle. Things I do like. I like the price. I'm going to be reserved on the flight experience. I'm not sure how that's going to go. Of course, DJI H Digital, it is absolutely gorgeous. And then overall, it's just, if it works out of the box, it should be great. I do not like the antenna mount on the back. I think that's absolute garbage. I don't know why they've just zip tied it to the little cable cord. They could have done a much better TPU print on the back. This is like, just to be honest, this is garbage. This little TPU print here, like they could have done, my 3-year-old kid could have designed a better antenna mount. Look at this, it's just flopping around. What's that going to do besides the brake? And another thing, if you're going to ship this out, Eachine, don't bother shipping it. Make it cheaper. You don't need to ship it with an XM Plus. Make that an optional extra. You should be able to get one that is just going to bind straight up to your DJI radio. So that's going to shave a few more grams off it as well. So anyway, look, that's it on the bench. Let's go find out how this thing goes, show you some HD recording, show you some flight impressions, all that sort of stuff, because I am very, very interested. It's not every day you see two giant companies at the opposite ends of the spectrum, super cheap and also super refined, come together in one product. So let's go do it. Have some fun in 3, 2, 1. Radio out here in the field. Let's do it. We're with the old man Grumpy Trev. We're going to check out the VisWhoop, but first and foremost, yes, I'm a bit of an amateur here. Rookie mistake. I grabbed my flight kit and I cannot believe there's no antennas in the box. So we're flying around. We've got one here, a dipole, and a right-hand circular polarized antenna with a left-hand polarized quad. I know all that sort of stuff. So don't judge me on the range. We're going to fly around, have fun, see how this thing goes, and I guess don't judge the performance of the Vista too much. It's going to be more about the drone. And we'll show you some of that juicy DVR recording without the antennas. So let's do it in 3, 2, 1, boop. Okie dokie, here we go. We're just going to jump straight in, and the first setting I've changed, I did switch it over to 16:9 mode. This is the DVR recording straight to our goggles, so this is exactly what I got to see, and every single time I put on the DJI goggles, I am blown away with just the clarity and how good it looks. So even if we're going to be talking about this quad's flight performance in a little bit, but when it comes to the video, it is absolutely crisp, beautiful. I love DJI video coming into my goggles. It really does feel like I'm being spoiled, especially from once you've been in the hobby for about 5-6 years, seeing where analog started to nowadays, it is absolutely mind-blowing. Now, there's some things I like about this and some things I don't like. So I talked about the, when I first got this frame, first got this quad, I thought I wanted to fly it around indoors, and you're going to be very much mistaken. It just has far too much power. It can pick up a fair bit of speed if you really push the throttle down. So when you're coasting this thing around, unless you have the biggest house in the world and live in Buckingham Palace, this is not going to be your cup of tea. It is not made for indoor flyers, no matter how much it is marketed. Look at this. I mean, if you were flying this thing around indoors, you're just going to be having a bad time. Not saying you can't do it, it's just not really what this quad is made for. Now, the other part as well, why are the ducks even on here? Because protecting those prop guards, all that sort of stuff, I don't see the point of it. It's just adding extra weight. The frame's going to be bigger than it needs to be. I would, if it was up to me, redesign this frame and take that out. Now, those parts aside, the parts I do like, it is super fun, and it does have a place in the market for people out there. If you've got a set of DJI goggles, you might already have some 5 inches, you might have something like a Titan, you might have some bigger DC5s or some of those other quads out there. They've got DJI built in. They go hard, they go fast, they are loud, they are obnoxious, but they are a ton of fun. That's not what this one is. You're still getting that good HD digital video, but this one is just kind of reminds me a little bit of the Emax Race 2, where it's a little outdoor sort of fun park flyer. You can do a little bit of acro for it, but that's not really what this is made for. This is just made for cruising around tight little spaces, outdoors, maybe some playgrounds. It's kind of perfect here in the driveway, the in-laws place, but you just want to fly around, you just want to have some fun, you get good flight times, and it is made with that in mind, that you're not going to be upsetting people out there. So maybe you live in some crowded places. If this thing is floating by, it's not going to be nearly as intrusive or as obnoxious as, say, a big 5-inch ripping and tearing a hole in the sky. This one you can fly it a bit slower and just enjoy
the flight and enjoy the feeling of FPV. So that's what this one is made for. It's not without its cons though, because look, if you do get a little bit of prop wash when you're not revving up the throttle a little bit. I find when it's dropping out of the sky, it is going to wobble around a bit. Don't buy it thinking it's going to be a racer. Don't buy it even thinking it's going to be a freestyle. This is really made for those people who just enjoy flying and you just want to coast around, looking in the DJI, I guess, FPV goggles, taking in the joys of flight. Now, what we should do, let's head over to GT, the grumpy bugger himself, see what he thinks about this, and yeah, just see how the VisWhoop goes in the hands of, let's say, an older gentleman. So let's do that in 3, 2, 1, boop. So that was my flight. It went forever. Yes, we're flying around on 3S. What we're going to do now, Grumpy Trev, this is the VisWhoop. What were your impressions on it?
I was thinking, hurry up and get in, Stu. It just took forever. That battery lasted such a long time.
You just kept going and going and going.
So already I'm impressed with how long you flew this thing.
And you also, the warning about my silly antennas on my head, there you're going to have some, I didn't have any video issues, but you're not going to get the max performance out of it because I forgot the antennas.
Nice and light. I'm impressed already, and I was so looking forward to canning this thing.
Why do you say that? And it's weird that Eachine is teaming up with DJI as well. Like you've got the most expensive brand with probably the cheapest brand.
It just didn't look it, but I tell you what.
Okay,
I'm pretty impressed. Yeah, let's have a go.
Let's go. Your radio, man. What's the problem? You groaning?
Oh, I just. The picture on this is just.
It spoils you.
Amazing, no kidding.
All right. So you're kind of under a tree. Do you want me to move you a little bit?
Oh no, she'll be right, I think.
Oh, you're just gonna have to pitch a bit forward.
Yep.
All right.
Oh, the picture's just. Yes, still amazing.
What's the bet, Trevor? Go straight, forward.
That tree there.
Yeah.
Oh, now the camera's all dirty.
Right, take 2, you grumpy bugger.
There we go.
Let's do it.
Oh, that's.
All right, and you're flying around on 4S, right? Through it flew it around on a 3S.
Yeah. Oh, jeez, I tell you what. It flies really nice, doesn't it? Oh, I tell you, it's got a bit of attitude.
Yeah, it's probably a bit more aggressive on 4S.
Oh, this is very nice.
Don't drop it in the water.
Where's the water?
All over the place.
Oh, there! Oh, no. Responsive. Got me out of the
Alright, how's the video?
The video's amazing.
Yeah. Typical DJI.
Yeah.
Alright, and what do you think about for a cheap drone for Emax coming together with them, I guess, in the actual drone side of things?
Well, look.
The motors, the props, the combo, how it feels.
I've got to say, I'm a bit surprised how good this is, but look, I think Emax has really lifted the game lately.
Not Emax, Eachine. This one's Eachine.
Eachine. You said Emax.
Sorry.
Play that back on the video. Yeah, look, I really think they've lifted the game with especially their smaller models. No kidding, I just can't get over how good the video is. I want one of these. You reckon I fit through that hole?
Yeah, but I reckon then you're going to
No.
get you bailed out then.
I'll get through that gap, look at that. That's 6 foot. I only just made that one.
Right, so who would you recommend this to? Because there's no other real thing like it on the market. Most of the other DJI stuff is in a much bigger form factor, much more performance based. What do you think about this one in a kind of whoop style one?
Look, if you like paddock or cruising around, this is pretty cool. I'm just starting to get used to the controls now. It's taking a little while. You could just fly this as you like it. Oh, look, anyone that can afford DJI, especially the goggles. That's the only thing I find about this. It's a little bit expensive.
Yep.
To get into, but once you're
into
it. What
about the drone itself for about the $250 US buck mark?
Well, with the DJI stuff in it, it seems pretty good. This is not going to worry anybody in a park with something like this flying around. You've got the props protected, and not that you should fly around people anyway, but it's just nice.
What do you think performance out of 10? For a little drone, obviously it's not made to be a little race flyer,
no,
for a little park flyer.
For what it is.
With DJI?
Look, I'm quite impressed with this. Look, it's up there. I think of this one an 8 at least.
Yep.
value for money. I really think the value is there because it has got the DJI stuff in there. So I'll give it a 9 for value.
It's crazy how cheap they can make the rest of it.
Yeah. And it's a nice little frame too. It is really well put together. And it's responsive. Oh, I'm starting to get the hang of this now.
What about flight time? That's something that I realised.
Oh,
What's your
yeah.
battery voltage on? The timer wasn't working.
14.7.
You can keep going until it hits 14, and then that is just storage charge, pretty much.
Yeah. Well, when you were flying, I'm thinking, come on, get in so I can fly the bloody thing. Like when you were flying, it just took forever. You must have got it like at least 6 minutes out of it on 3S.
Yeah, and yours is going. You've got a tiny battery on here as well, 650, yeah.
Yeah.
So the flight time is there for sure.
This is bloody great.
And there's no other DJI we could fly around like that.
This is the best Whoop I've flown, as far as for video and stuff. And look, it's nice and responsive. I really like it. Must be all that wind.
All right, what's your battery voltage, Trevor? Because this is taking forever. I'm standing here, the battery's going flat.
0.4.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to cut this review and we'll come in when it's finished.
Yeah,
all right?
yeah.
We've got that tiny little, what size is that, a 650?
650, yeah.
Tiny little, hold the drone, bloody hell. Tiny little 650 in there. What's your thoughts on the Eachine VisWhoop with DJI? And did you have any video issues? Because you had those antennas on.
Video issues. It was like watching IMAX all the time. It was not even a flicker.
Yep.
No, very impressed. This is really one of our dreams, a small drone like this with really, really great video. The only thing I don't like about it, I can't afford a set of goggles yet, but...
okay, so if you already had a set of goggles?
Oh yeah, I'd buy one of these. I wouldn't hesitate because I want something this small. And it's well put together. It's nice and light. And you can see how long it flew. It flew forever.
Too easy. All right.
You only need half a dozen batteries. You have fun all day.
All right, thanks, Trev.
Rightio, so here it is. There's my review of the Eachine DJI, the VisWhoop, and overall, I got to say, I was pleasantly surprised by this drone in more ways than one. When I first got it, I thought maybe I can fly this around indoors. That's not really where it's at, but this is also, we're going to do things a little bit differently on the screen. Instead of finishing it in the studio, we're going to be looking at just some straight raw footage that we got from the DVR. This is in 4:3 before I stretch it to the size of the screen, all that sort of stuff. But overall, look, I got to say, the flight experience, a 6.5, 7 out of 10. It was still a lot of fun to fly. It's not intrusive. It's not going to upset anybody. You get flight times for days. Yes, it's not the fastest. Yes, it's not the best for acro, but if you just enjoy flying around, this Whoop is doing things that nothing else with the DJI system on board is doing. It's not obnoxious. It's not a huge power horse 5-inch, and you can just take this thing to a local park, a small space, fly it around, have some fun, and I feel like that's what, not every quad needs to fill every purpose. If you've got some DJI goggles out there, if you already got some 5 inches and you just want something a little bit different that you can just enjoy flying around, it's a little bit safer, all that sort of stuff, I'm going to say go for it. So overall, I got to give this one a thumbs up, and especially for the value for money mark, about the $250, it is pretty impressive. So anyway, what do you guys think? Drop your comments down below, subscribe for more FPV related content, and as always, happy flying.